everyone. This is the very first media mock trial. Can you hear me? Good. Got it. Okay. So, this is the very first media mock trial. I'm very excited to be here today. So, if you don't know what it is, we've combined aspects of public forum debate and mock trial aspects such as witnesses, objections, and also cross and directs today. We will have first opening constructives, then a civil cross constructive, then we'll go into the first side's witnesses. Then we'll have an aggressive cross, and then we'll go, the first side will rest their case, and then the same thing will repeat for the next side, and then we'll go into rebuttals. So what I would like to ask first is for the King Kong side to stand up and introduce themselves.
Guys, for the judge, we have a floor director here. The floor director will cue for a 5 count. We don't hear 1, you'll hear 5, 4, 3, 2. Then the floor director will ask you to rise for the judge. And when the judge speaks to you, speak back. It's like in a courtroom. Yes. Is the screen supposed to be working? I don't know. Did anybody test it? Is it turned on? I don't know.
Is that a wireless cam?
I am free.
It's trying to pick up a signal.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, how are you doing this
Set it
morning?
up.
Our student is blurry, and that's
All right, places, everybody.
Hey, there's 2 videos that are supposed to go to this screen.
There are. Well, so when I asked that like 20 minutes ago.
Oh, Lord.
All right, so get it set up. Get it set up. Get the computer set up.
Okay, well he doesn't have headsets on, so Hart was the one that cued us to begin. So,
Yeah, I was going to turn the music. I have a bail. I brought Officer Kelly in.
okay.
Oh.
All right.
We have a
So the
bail?
bailiff will tell you.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce our timekeeper today. Who'll be keeping time of everything that's happening to make sure everything runs smoothly. Her name is Sophia Tracer. She is great. I'll let her. So what I'd like to start by saying is that we're going to start with an opening constructive, then a civil constructive, and then we'll go through King Kong's witnesses, and then an aggressive constructive at the end. Then the King Kong side will rest, and then we do the exact same thing with the Godzilla side, and then we'll go into closing arguments for rebuttals. I think we're ready to start. Is King Kong side ready to start? Is Godzilla side ready to start?
Yes.
So I think that we can move on with opening constructive, starting with King Kong side.
May it please the court and the opposing counsel and the members of the jury in this case. Does anybody know what this is here? No. Okay, this is a silverback lowland gorilla. You know what this gorilla's name was? This gorilla's name was Harambe. You know what happened to this gorilla? This gorilla had to be put down at the zoo he was staying at. Now, this may seem like some standard procedure, but no. The situation in which he died was quite different. A child had fallen into his enclosure. And why would they put down a gorilla just for a child falling into an enclosure? Well, let me tell you why. This is because the sheer power of an animal like that is unmatched by almost anything in the animal kingdom. With its arms, it can crush a skull in a moment. Now, if they had let this situation go any farther with this gorilla in this pen, the child could have died. Now, what does this have to do with King Kong? You may be asking. Well, what is King Kong? King Kong is a supersized lowland gorilla. So, how does a child match up to a lizard? Well, not very much, other than its intelligence. What happened to this child? It fell into the pen. Not very intelligent. What would a lizard do in that situation? I think we all know the answer to that question. we have King Kong, which is a huge lowland gorilla with opposable thumbs. And in terms of intelligence, we have a lizard with a walnut-sized brain. Do I need to say any more?
I don't know, Council, do you?
I sure don't. All right, that was all. Thank you.
Okay, we'll be moving into civil constructive, which if you don't know, I'll explain it. Attorney Eli will now sit in the chair while Attorney Demarsh or Attorney Caleb will cross him on what he had just said.
Can we tag team it?
You may tag. So, Eli, would you like to take a seat?
Oh, I'd love to.
So Eli Michael Malley,
Yeah.
you say that this King Kong of yours is a lowland silverback gorilla.
I can.
Can you prove it?
I can.
How do you know?
Well, based off of the depictions in the original King Kong from
The depictions where he's supersized, obviously not a normal gorilla. How can you prove that he fits the exact specifications of a lowland silverback gorilla?
because that's what the character is based on.
Jury, this man. Oh, no. So you say that King Kong being supersized, that's one of his strengths, right?
Of course.
Wouldn't you also say that Godzilla is even more supersized than King Kong?
I believe that they're both supersized.
But which would you say is more supersized? Have you ever been to McDonald's, Eli?
Yeah.
Do you know what supersized means there?
Yes, I do. Objection, Your Honor. Element.
There's no objection in this.
I have a say something. Attorney Dominic has raised an objection. What's your defense to developments?
It will become clear soon as to why I'm bringing up supersizing, because I am not even sure if Eli Michael Malley knows the definition of the word supersizing.
I'm going to overrule the objection, but please get to your point very fast.
God, jury, I don't believe.
Supersization is a word, Your Honor.
Can you prove it?
Do we have a dictionary?
Do we have a dictionary on here?
No, counsel, we do not have a dictionary.
I guess we'll never know. All right. Caleb, do you have any lines of questioning for the man? None? All right. I think this concludes our, yeah, it concludes this.
Thank you, counsel. You may be seated. I'd like the King Kong side to call their very first witness and tell me who they'll be calling.
We call to the stand Mr. Schmidt, the physics teacher at Lincoln Park Performing Arts Charter School, to speak about physics.
Mr. Schmidt, can you please take a stand? I want to remind the opposing counsel that you can object during any time. Just stand up when you do it.
Your Honor,
Yes.
on this image here, I have a train. This is not any train. In the film Godzilla, which we are used to reference, only one time does Godzilla even get hit. He gets missed by bullets so many times. So this is our only source in all of Godzilla to base strength off of.
Objection. That's completely false. That's just not right.
Can you name another direct hit in the film?
Okay, yes. When he came from the Bay of Japan or Bay of Tokyo,
During cross, you'll get your time.
Whoa.
Okay, continue.
Apologies. Apologies, Honor. Apologies, Your Honor. Apologies.
You didn't give an example. You did not give an example.
Because we weren't allowed to.
You weren't allowed to give an example. Anyway, this train is the Tokyo 5000 series. It is a very low class of train. It is not one of those heavy trains. This is a transport train that Godzilla gets hit by. Now, in the film, which is the only direct hit, not from like bullets, the only direct hit, this almost knocks him out. He loses balance and he screams. So, how much force does this train have? So I brought in a physicist. So, I'm running the numbers that we have given you. The Tokyo 5000 series has a max speed of 70 miles per hour. And it weighs 2,000, very light, 2,000 pounds. Your Honor, using the evidence provided, what would you say could be the force that he is being hit by this train?
Well, if I was going based on the connection or the interaction between the two, saying that maybe they were in contact for 5 seconds, I would say that this force would be in upwards of 986,000 newtons.
986,000 newtons. Ooh, big number. So now, let us test this. So, my theory to this is that this being the only time that Godzilla is not hit by a bullet, he is hit by a direct object. I propose that in the Godzilla anatomy, can I please have the anatomy judge? That Godzilla, in fact, his scales, or some people would say bathed in radiation, if you want to be pretentious, is actually a very thin layer that is good at reflecting bullets, but is not good at reflecting hard forces. Now, good thing, King Kong does not use any projectiles. So now, let us calculate King Kong's punch strength. So, King Kong, unlike Godzilla, actually fights things in this movie. So he does many impressive feats. This includes throwing a prehistoric dinosaur over his back, which weighs 15,500,000 pounds. Another feat you could expect is that he tears open the jaw of a dinosaur, which they had a jaw force strength of 12,000 pounds. Kong's feats are shown here, and we can only estimate how strong one punch would be. So, in the film, I went frame by frame and timed one punch. It took him 1 minute. 0.5 seconds with an arm width of 12 feet compared to his height. Calculate that with the strength that it took to lift 15,000 pounds, which means that Kong's force is to be feared. How would you agree with this, Mr. Schmidt?
How would I agree with this? I would say that I believe King Kong's strength would exceed this value of the train.
Thank you. Your Honor,
No further questions.
no further questions.
Is the Godzilla side ready to cross the witness? Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
I want to remind the opposing side you can object at any time.
Okay, so just a few things to clear up. Most of what he said is completely wrong. He was not only hit once in the movie by a freight train. First, he came out of the Bay of Tokyo, and he ran into electrical wires where he was electrocuted with 300,000 volts of electricity, and which did not falter, did not stumble, did not, oh no, he kept going, and he raised punch in the city. He was hit with many weapons, which I will clarify with my next witness, but just in case, he was hit with missiles, tanks, and heavy artillery, and he did not falter, which is in the movie. Now, on to Mr. Schmidt. So, when something gets hot, it usually starts out as red, right? So, as it gets hotter, it changes the color. What does it change in color?
So meaning
Usually. So when it gets hotter, what color does it go into?
It would start on the spectrum of red, and it would transition its direction to violet.
Objection, this calls for speculation. Godzilla was in black and white, there was no color.
Woo! That is true. However, through information that I've gathered from the director and producers of the film, which it was a guideline in which it described Godzilla's abilities and what happened, and so it described his atomic breath as a dark bluish color. Well, not dark bluish, but bluish color, yeah.
But would the witness that is caught up here also have knowledge of that?
Say again?
Would the witness have knowledge of that? Or are they just speculating what it could be?
Well, no, it was stated in the guide that was made by the directors and producers, which was a book, a guide, that it was a bluish color.
Okay, I'm going to overrule the objection, just because I don't think it's technically a speculation objection. But yeah, you can continue.
So, it is also said in the guide that its atomic breath, which is not only just fire, but includes radiation and stuff like that, but its heat exceeds 20,000 Celsius, which is a dark blue color, which is a bluish color. Would that be mostly correct?
I would say that the coloration of light is not reflective of the temperature completely.
How so?
It really depends on the amount of energy in a particular space to be able to signify the coloration that you're going to observe.
Bring up weight. Oh, well, either way, well, one thing I also have to point out is that Dominic Patrice, the opposing counsel, mentioned that King Kong picked up a Tyrannosaurus Rex, which was about 15,000 pounds, which is roughly 5 to 10 tons. I'm just estimating here, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct. Now, he can pick up a T-Rex that should have been extinct. That's cool. However, Godzilla is at 150 feet and 20,000 tons. Another point I want to bring up as well is that Godzilla lives under the ocean. The ocean is under a lot of pressure. Now, since he was awakened from nuclear bombs committed by the U.S. and nuclear testing trials, he lived deep under the ocean, where he was under thousands of atmospheric pressures to be mindful of. Where that means his bones, which is probably not bone, but a new material, is completely very strong, much stronger than like titanium steel, like 2 times as stronger. Now it's the end of my speech.
Thank you. I would like to remind counsel that when you cross and direct a witness, you're supposed to be specifically asking them questions. You'll get your time to give us.
They keep saying that he'll climb on his back, okay? But again, I'm going to reiterate, due to how strong his skin and, well, they did bring up that lizard skin are weak, and they might be, but because this is a hyper example in Godzilla, in that he was born from a nuclear bomb testing, I think that's not exactly the point I'm trying to make here is that even though he could climb on his back, I don't really think there's a feasible way he could try to kill him, because I mean I don't want you to assume on what he would do, because obviously we just pointed that out. I don't think it's exactly correct to say that he would beat him if he got on his back per se.
Is there no question, counsel?
Please spell out your name, please.
E-V-A-N,
Okay. Last name, please.
K-U-R-T-Z,
How old are you?
H-A-L.
How long have you attended school for lizards?
A very long time.
All right, I'm done.
At this time, are we finished questioning this witness?
Yes.
Then you may be seated. At this time, is both sides ready for aggressive cross-examination?
Yes.
Yes.
absolutely no way. Okay. We have 3 main points as well. Our 3 main points, Godzilla's atomic breath alone could kill King Kong, and his other abilities are an added bonus. Dude, you were talking about how King Kong, would go for the back. Boom, spikes there. Tough hide all around the body. Too strong. All right? And then atomic breath, as I said earlier, it's just basically like shooting Chernobyl out of your mouth. Godzilla himself is almost indestructible. We went over this. He lives at the bottom of the ocean, where what is the pressure per square inch?
Well, I can't really calculate that.
A lot. It's a lot. It's a lot per square inch. He was at the bottom of the ocean. He's taking on so much pressure. His hide is stronger than, as you said earlier, titanium because of that. And finally, our final point is Godzilla is portrayed as evil, even though it's created through humanity's wickedness. Unfair to portray something as right versus wrong, only because Kong is more human than Godzilla. This is where the fault lies in many people's thinking. They relate more to Kong. They relate to him because he's just like one of us. But you need to let your biases fall aside and be honest with yourself and be a true American and admit to yourself, maybe this Godzilla guy isn't that bad. I rest my case, Your Honor.
Thank you. Would the Godzilla side like to call their first witness?
We would love to call our first witness. Our first witness will be Mr. Ross Reigns.
Mr. Reigns, you may.
Mr. Ross Reigns, an expert in philosophy and Godzilla who point out the obvious bias that the American people have for King Kong because how he is represented in the media and how he's closely related to humanity and American propaganda. Alright, so, do you think people have bias towards King Kong over Godzilla due to his primate genes?
Yes. You see, I do believe that given King Kong's ape-like nature, we as humans, given our hands and arms and fur and mammal-like appearance, do relate more to King Kong than we would necessarily reptilian, a foreign creature, something coming from the depths of the ocean. So I would believe we do have a bias.
So we are more scared to trust Godzilla because we're not used to him. He's something abnormal.
He is something foreign. He is something that when we look at him, it's something extinct, so it's not common to our nature. So yes, we do have a bias.
Do you think how they're portrayed in media has a relationship to that bias as well?
Oh yes, I would say media certainly has a bias towards the human, seeing how it is made by humans. If we had more reptilian-made media, maybe we would be more apt to appreciate reptiles.
Because in the Godzilla film, Godzilla is shown
because Godzilla is kind of the protector of trying to equalize the Earth when it comes to humans' use of nuclear power. So it is kind of that, man, are we using too much science? Are we using our power of knowledge of science to destroy the Earth, and Godzilla is trying to fight for the Earth? So it really does become a man versus Earth battle in itself. So, I don't know.
And one last question. So you would say that King Kong represents man, then, right? And isn't America based on the human race? Isn't that what built America?
Humans built America, yes.
And where did they take King Kong in the original movie?
New York City.
Which is in what country?
America.
So you're saying that America's choice would technically be King Kong?
Sure.
No further questions.
50 feet, weighs 15 tons, very small guy. We got the nuclear breath, going on that, as Mr. Schmidt said, it's pretty hot. It's pretty hot. It would probably do some pretty good damage to King Kong. And, one of the major downfalls of King Kong is that he is to be destroyed in the original film, whereas Godzilla is destruction if you watch the original film. King Kong has this love in his heart that will inhibit him from giving his all in a fight against such a superior opponent, rendering him useless in the way that he is going to fight against Godzilla. This is just facts and logic, people. This is just facts and logic. And I would just like to propose that what they have said kind of not the strongest arguments, considering, the willpower of my main man, Godzilla. So I would like to thank you all for your time, and I would like to wish you all a blessed day. God bless.
Is the King Kong side ready to go?
Yes. Today we came before you and we put ourselves out on the line with extremely strong evidence and a team of very intelligent people. Now, as you saw, the other side opened with, this Godzilla is for the American people, which we have disproven. King Kong is 100% the American choice to pick if we want to go there. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for fighting. Yes, King Kong may be smaller, but have you ever heard of David and Goliath? Is anybody here religious? Probably not, but that's okay. But look, David took down Goliath with a rock, I think. Who says...
Speculation?
As I was saying...
Sustained.
As I was saying, the agility of a monkey compared to a lizard and the intelligence of a monkey compared to a lizard, they outweigh it by so much. And as we can see, the force of a punch compared to the force of a train, they are very comparable, if not the punch being more. Just a couple of those bad boys and he'll be down.
Let's just say the facts here. This is how the fight's going to go.
You're out of time.
Time.
Quote.